you hear
That's
that?
nice. Yeah, what the hell? It must be a new Zoom feature.
That was real creepy. That just scared
well,
me
well, you know what? Now we
so
know.
much.
Now we know because if you're not recording, we know that we didn't hear that weird ass
That is
voice.
very true. Guys, that was terrifying.
Um,
I hope that comes up on the recording so that you
I
can play
highly
that and
doubt it,
remember
but
that that was so
if
funny.
if it doesn't, for people that are listening and why I'm wondering why we're freaking out, some AI woman from Zoom was like recording a process. That's never happened to us
This
before.
meeting is being recorded. Thank you for well, it's fine. It's another like false safe for us. But hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Be More podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria, and today we're winging it again. I don't
Wait,
have really much.
I
Oh,
would
do you have something?
I have nothing, but I would like to tell you that for the past couple times that we've been doing this, I
Okay.
literally have been like, you know how you know me. Maria always gets like the butt end of all of my ridiculousness because I wake up and decide that I want to like start doing laundry on a Sunday and then start doing chores and never give myself enough time to do them and then always come on the call late. But I would like to say that the last 12 hours, maybe like closer to 24 hours of my life has been
Sure.
very very good. And I woke up like a little before not like a
Knocking on
little
wood for
before
you.
9 o'clock. I know,
Okay.
thank you. A little before 9 o'clock this morning, like without an alarm, and was like, you know what? I'm gonna start cleaning. So I cleaned my like we have what like one, two, three, four, five, technically five different like rooms or six, including our balcony in our
Yeah.
apartment, and I've cleaned like, and I'm crazy about cleaning. When I say cleaning, I mean like cleaning. Like my
Deep
stove got cleaned this morning.
clean.
Um,
Oh, good
like
for
the
you.
inside of my stove got cleaned this morning. I spent like the last 2 hours like cleaning my apartment, and I've gotten like three of oh no maybe four of the six like spaces done, and I was on ready to go with this. Like I
Good
was
for you.
prepared,
Good.
and it's very interesting because I've noticed that my Sundays are really good if I do something specific with my Saturdays.
I know what you mean. So I can probably attest to that. So yesterday I actually cleaned my basement and my bathroom. And that accomplished I need to accomplish at least one thing around the house during the weekend. Otherwise, like I feel like I miss my weekend to just like clean something, or like miss my weekend to just like organize my life together. Because it is true that like whatever your space you're dealing with, like that kind of correlates to your mental health. So like if I'm not in a clean, like organized space, then I'm just all over the place. So yesterday was my day. And then because I knew today I wasn't gonna do anything besides film the podcast because last night I went to the Nets playoff
I
game.
saw
Yeah.
that.
I knew last night that I came back after like midnight. I was not gonna do anything besides do this today. So yesterday was my productive day and now today I'm just gonna veg out. So those are usually my weekends. It's either Saturday I veg out and then Sunday I get all productive, but depends on.
Yeah, you have to like, and it's you brought up like, it's funny because during the week it comes back to what you just said about like the mental state, right? Like, do you find yourself during the week like resenting your space ever because it's
Yeah.
not
Oh my god,
so awful?
I sit here at my desk because I work from home half the time and half the time in the office. And if I can see within my peripheral that something is off, but like it bothers me, like or like it's not cleanly enough to my standards, I will literally stop working for like half an hour and clean because I can't not do
Oh,
it.
you're better than me. I reject the space.
Oh, you do.
Like
I don't
I
have that much space to reject here.
Oh well, I have to say it's I get away with it more now because it's nicer and I can like use my balcony as a
Oh, true,
space.
true.
But like if
Yeah.
I go and it's the same with my kitchen and it's like it's really bad because it leads to like not good choices. But if I go in my kitchen and my kitchen's messy, it makes me not want to cook. And then I like
Okay, yeah.
will choose like a not good option to eat.
I was like, you
And
gonna take
then
out food or something?
right, or like
Yeah.
be like, all right, I'm gonna eat something that's really simple so that I don't have to touch like anything. And I just like reject
Mood.
it. And then uh and then I'm the same way about like my desk. Like if now because it's nicer out, if I don't want to hang out, like if it's like a mess in here,
Yeah, yeah.
like I'll go out on the balcony because I know that I always keep the balcony clean
Yeah.
because it's like stuff that's outside and I can't leave it everywhere.
Yeah, now I'm in the backyard too. If it's like super nice out, I just want to read or something, and I
Yeah.
can't deal with being in a basement underground.
Yeah.
Thank God it's
Understood.
nice out.
That's how I used to
But
feel when we lived in our apartment. That was
yeah.
like an underground apartment too. But okay, so I want to touch on like a bunch of stuff because we had very similar.
Oh.
Was your yesterday experience the first time that you were like
Oh, I was
back?
out and about and
Right.
in society. Yes, it
Right.
was
And like seeing
so.
other people in mass amounts.
Yeah, so I had a moment. So obviously, it's the playoffs. So it's a whole different dynamic as opposed to the regular season. Any
Right.
sports person will know this, obviously.
Right. Right.
So I was just hyped until, and I bought the tickets on a whim, honestly, because my dad's birthday's next week, and I was like, I don't have a birthday gift for him, but like he really wants to go to a game, so I was like, all right, let's go to a game, whatever.
Wait.
So I was like, perfect win. Um, so I bought on a whim, super hyped, got there. This is I love New York. What else? I hate New York. I prepaid for parking as I am neurotic about things. I'm like, all right, I need to know where I'm parking before I go to this game because obviously
Literally, I'm the same way though.
It's Brooklyn. Like I need a like the Barclays Center is always like
You
when's this
need
playoff game?
something to
I need
grasp
something.
onto.
I need something that will give me some structure
Hmm.
in this unpredictable world. So parking is one easy thing. So I prepaid parking. We got to the parking garage. Okay, first of all, let me back up. There is an intersection right before the parking garage, just on like a corner of a street in Brooklyn. I fucked up and like I went when like there was so much traffic within that corner because everyone was trying to get into that parking
Oh
garage.
yeah, they're all going the same way.
So I was in the middle of the intersection. I was like, fuck, I can't move because someone was super like close in front of me, and then I don't know if there's someone behind me, but they might have backed up or like moved within the next like whatever. But I was still in the center. I was like, fuck. So my dad was yelling at me, my sisters are yelling at me. I'm like, all right, everyone needs to calm down.
You
Like,
guys
all right,
drive. I'm out.
yeah. So I had to like back up and like cut in front of people. I was like, my bad, but I couldn't do anything because like there was a FedEx truck. So
Oh
you gotta
god.
love New York for that,
Gotta
right?
love
And the
FedEx,
traffic
man.
and everyone's neurotic driving.
Yeah.
But when we got there, the guy was like, "It's full," and everyone like in line was like, "We prepaid for parking. We all from were from Jersey too." Like it was just like so. Imagine at least 5 Jersey drivers just being pissed at this guy.
Oh, boy.
So that was not pleasant. We were all like, "Where the fuck are we going?" So I had to go to like 3 different parking garages, and that was just frantic enough for me because I was not planning to do that.
I hate all of the things that are happening. I'm literally getting anxiety just from you talking
Oh, I
about
was just like, oh my god. And my dad was just like, you know how my dad is, how he like just like talks to fill up space. So he was just like talking the whole time. I was like, Dad, please just stop. Like I
it. And
can't do
it's
this.
like on top of this, and like I don't like you already have. I have. I was I'll
Major.
like talk about this later too, but like
Yeah.
being back in social settings with people
Yeah.
already, like I'm real anxious. So
Oh,
like I can't
yeah.
imagine you like being in a car related anxiety
Oh my
situation and then
god.
also being like, oh my god, all these people are around. I would not have done well in that moment.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I wasn't too nervous until that happened. I was like, okay. But I am also very neurotic about my time, though I will say that I was late to this recording today for because I like
It's
could not
cool.
get out
This
of
is like the
get
only
out
time
of
both
bed.
of us are like that, but this is like the only time where we're both like, all right, it's fine. We'll wait a couple minutes.
Yeah. So we actually left early enough that I had an hour buffer before the game started
When
because I was like, I
okay,
know something's gonna happen because it's the first time going out and me driving to. I haven't been to the city in almost 2 years, so it's like I don't know what's gonna happen, like how much traffic is gonna be, and like there, I knew that Brooklyn and just the city in general had some streets blocked off because that's how people are like outdoor dining is through the streets, like the side streets. So I was like,
mm,
I know there's gonna be traffic if some streets are not open. So thankfully, we got there early enough that I could go into 3 different parking garages because they're all fucking full, and I finally found one. Thank God. Um, so then that was great because then my anxiety went down because now I was like, all right, my car's parked.
right.
Like, I canceled my booking for that other place. Thankfully, I got my money back and all that
Oh,
stuff. I was
thank
like,
God.
great. So we walked to the stadium, which was a couple blocks away. Thankfully, like the parking garage was super close. Um, but some people weren't with masks, and my dad was like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "I don't know, but keep your damn mask on." Like a lot of people were not wearing masks. I can't look. I can't be sure if they're vaccinated or not. Like now that the vaccine is out, I can't be like, "Oh, those people are like not complying to CDC standards, whatever."
right.
Because I don't know. That's whatever. A bunch of people are not wearing masks, so I was like, "All right, everyone just like hand sanitizer, like keep your mask on." We had our mask on for the whole game.
Wow.
I'm saying the whole damn game because I was like, I can't not
And the
risk
venue's
that.
inside, right?
Venues inside. Thankfully, though, there are sections of the stadium, a bunch of sections in the stadium that require, I guess, vaccinations. So like pockets. So I was like, all right, we're going to the pocket of
Right,
vaccinated
right.
people.
Do they
Duh.
did they charge you a different amount for that?
No.
See, the thing that
I don't think so.
Not to say that I'm
No.
mad about it, but have you been hearing about all of the? This is a sidestep for a second, but have you been hearing about all like the annoying incentives that have been happening for people to get vaccines? Like people in New York are getting if they go from like the 4th or the 7th. I don't know these dates exactly, so if you're listening to this and
Sure.
you're from New York, please fact check me. But there are 3 days in June that if you go and get vaccinated during that time, you get a $20 scratch off.
Well, did you? I know where. I don't know what the days are, but I've seen those incentives. Because Jersey has done them. Have you
I
seen?
know, and so this is like I'm just an example. Like now,
Yeah.
people are getting incentivized and getting things for getting
Yeah. How do you
vaccinated.
feel about that?
Guys, if
I mean,
people are not
just
watching this, my mouth is open and everything's coming out. Like I don't know what to say.
Brittany took a
I
second.
just, it just shocked me. It just shocked
It's
me.
so, but like I will say, it's so American though.
I
Like, come on now. Like,
It just shocked me.
for people that don't know, in Jersey, like a couple few weeks ago, when the vaccine was like, coming up and whatnot, the governor was like, free beer at these participating bars. Like, if you show your vaccination card, I'm like, for the, but he's appealing to the people that won't get vaccinated.
Right. Like, and you're not
Like
like
that's so.
there are two reasons why I get mad at these situations. It's like it reminds me a perfect example of like, and you are like this too. The kids who are in school who do things well, right? We had this conversation a long time ago on our podcast. I don't know what episode it was for people who are listening, but we had a whole conversation about how when you're the person who does there are high expectations placed against you and you are have to make certain decisions because you don't feel like you can slip up. Like you're a high achiever, you have like all of this pressure on you, so like you always feel like you have to make the correct choice, right? You always have to make the right
Right.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then so in perspective of the analogy that I'm going to make or the relation that I'm going to make here is like you go to school like you should be getting good grades, right? You shouldn't need any type of incentive to get good grades, but like we people who get good grades not that they need it but like aren't the ones that are incentivized with like oh extra credit oh this oh fun stuff for you oh it's
Right.
always the kids who like
Need the extra push, right?
and I'm not to say like people don't struggle to get better grades. I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying like the people who are kind of lazy and don't really care are the ones
Yes,
who
those
get like
people. We're
all the
not saying
support
like, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
all of the like it's not anybody who has
Coddling.
any
It's
right.
really just coddling.
It is really it's enabling and supporting that,
Yeah.
which is like an issue that is a greater issue in American society period too, but it's a very similar thing to that. And I was like, and it was funny because I now listen to like 92.3 alt. I'm plugging you guys because I love you. The Kane and Corey show in the morning.
92.3. Yeah.
Um, they make me laugh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was listening to them and like
Better than Z100. Not to knock on Z100, but
I used to love Z100, but I don't
Elvis
know.
Duran.
I
Not
feel
to
like
not to hate on Elvis Duran, but like I just didn't like his voice. There's
I'm
just something
too
about that morning show that I
jaded
just didn't.
now. I feel like
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah.
that, like I need to listen to like really sarcastic and like terrible adult humor things that are like rude. Like that's like my humor. Like so I
Like
don't know.
BoJack Horseman and like
Right, like
Bob's
things that are
Burgers
like
and Big Mouth.
dark humor, and that's what this show is. And also I can't listen to like levitating at like 6 in the morning. I'm gonna kill myself.
That's a yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't. I need to listen to like
Love Dua Lipa, but like
right.
levitating
I just
in the
can't do that in
morning.
the morning. I just need to
I,
move low hits.
that needs to be
Um,
like a wake up. I need to drive home. That was me last night
correct.
at midnight. I was like, I need Dua Lipa's
But I've
fucking
been
music so I don't fall
listening.
asleep behind the wheel.
I was listening to
Thank
them,
you.
and one of the DJs was like saying how he's like, well, do I get something for like, what about the people who
Oh my
got
god.
vaccinated already? And in my mind, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean,
it's just, it's just, and all of that's annoying. But I mean, in my mind, that's why I'm asking about if you got a, like any type of price difference in your ticket. Like, if other places are like, oh, we're incentivizing, getting your
yeah.
vaccination. Like, if
Yeah.
I already got mine and I'm going to a public place that I'm paying for, why don't you like give me a little
Backtrack
discount?
or something. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will. Here's also a very American thing though. Like you're saying this with the vaccines, but people are also doing this for like student loans.
Mhm.
The whole student loan.
That is so true. Honestly, if I've been paying, my whole thought when they froze our student loans was like, if I've been paying my student loans, like if you've been overpaying a certain amount of your student loans since they froze, they should just pay off the rest of your student loans. Like it's this is a part of the bigger situation of like if you and this is why we had the whole conversation that we had about this was getting exhausted and like burnt out from having to be somebody who feels like you need to make good choices. So like
yeah. Yeah.
all of this is a bigger issue of like if I'm making a good choice, like
Where's my incentive to like?
Like, right, like I should, why is, and it's not a matter of like, and I am like 100% believer, like you should make good choices and be a good person because you want to be, but it's really frustrating when like you're giving things to the people who
I was
are
like, because
like,
like
well,
that should
fuck
just be it,
everybody else.
right? No, that really should be it. You're being a better
Right,
person for
so
the
we shouldn't
society in
be
general. But people are just not like
incentivizing,
that.
shouldn't
People
be
are just
incentivizing the people who aren't making good choices. I'm sorry, we just shouldn't.
I
um and
look.
throwing money at it, like it's because at the end of
I
the day that's what's happening.
I because I am. We're both vaccinated,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. When I heard that Krispy Kreme was giving out free donuts for the rest of the
I did
year,
not hear that. That's so funny.
you didn't know
No.
if you go if you go to any Krispy Kreme, they'll give you a free glazed donut if you just show your vaccination card.
Win.
Win, great, unharmful incentive, in
Right.
my opinion, because Krispy Kreme is a very big franchise
Right.
and can give away glazed donuts.
I
We
mean,
both worked at
we I was we
worked
both
at
worked at
Dunkin'.
Dunkin'. They know go in the garbage anyway. We know
We
that.
know, we know you are free and able to give
Right.
away free
With
donuts to
nothing
whoever
on
wants to
you.
walk in. There, it costs nothing. It's weird to me when it's like random mom and pop bars giving away free beers.
I mean, I get they're trying to, right, like, and this is the thing that we've talked about the vaccine a lot. I have to tell you, one of the biggest.
Hmm.
Do I believe that the vaccine is gonna keep people safe?
To an
I
extent,
I don't. Right.
to
I don't
an
fully
extent.
believe that like we should all get it. The reason behind getting it is I want to keep people safe because I think that there are a lot of other factors that go into our health that have a part in that.
Hmm. Hmm.
The number one, and this might make me sound like a dick, but I'm gonna be totally honest. The number one reason why my final choice was to get vaccinated was because I see the way our world works, and it's getting to a point where it's gonna start like being like this big brother situation where it's like you're not gonna be allowed to do
People need to
stuff
read
if
the
you don't do
1984,
it.
by the way.
Huh?
People need to read,
You
excuse
do
me,
need to read 1984.
1984.
But it's gonna be like it's gonna, and it's this stupid, annoying. Our our world needs another reason for people to be segregated, but it's going to be, I foresee it being a thing where it's like, and they're already trying to do that, right? Like you can't do this if you're not vaccinated, which they literally legally can't do, and super pisses me off. And there are lawsuits about people in like jobs and not getting jobs because they're not vaccinated, and like whatever.
Or just
I'm already annoyed about all of this. You can hear it in my voice, I hope.
or yeah, or just schools, right? Kids are at least in New Jersey, the school public schools are open
Mhm.
now, right? Um and that forces parents to wonder if they have to get their kid vaccinated.
Well, they do not, and they also do, and like I'm telling you this
But
because
it's
I'm
also
in a public
that's a
school.
pressure that's an added, even though it's not a minute pressure, but it is a pressure for a parent to who wasn't thinking about it to now be like,
And it's possible
damn, I
that
have to
in
think
the
about this.
future, in private settings, right? If you think about, especially colleges, right? We all had to get TB tested and like had to get a bunch of like our meningitis and stuff and shots and stuff like that,
So my question is how
before we went to
come
private school.
oh
Like when
well,
you want to go to college, it might be a requirement. Like they might not let you.
I
It's a
mean
private sector. No one can control that unless you go to
I
a
mean Rutgers, this isn't news, so I'm not mad about spilling this, but Rutgers is making kids get vaccinated.
right. And I think
So
that, I mean, and it's like I think that we're so close to it. Like now, if you think about when we had to go to school and we had to get, you were like, oh, you have to get all of these vaccines before you go to school.
and we're like, yeah,
It
that's pretty standard. Fine.
right. It
Yeah.
wasn't surprising, but I feel like because we're so close to it. But in my mind, honestly, I feel like you're going to college, and personal experience, all the things that went wrong with my health happened when I went to college. So
Thank
whatever
God
type
I
of
did
vaccine
not
that you
dorm.
can get, like
Yeah.
get it,
It's just
get it. It's like I just get it because you're in a cesspool of just discussing this. Um,
yeah, well,
so I can understand that, but I really, and in the future, it's possible that they might, like what you're saying for public school, they might be like, if your kid's gonna be an in-person kid, they need to have this, like these certain vaccinations. And I get all of that. But I really foresee the second that all of the like the rumory chatteriness was like, oh, we might, people might not be able to travel or it might be hard to fly internationally. I was like, you know what? No one's
mhm.
taking away my freedom. Like if this is the bottom line, if I get like, and I'm getting my second shot soon, and I had a reaction to my first shot just because of my DNA is not strong, like clearly, um, like I'm gonna suffer and it's fine, and I the vaccine will do whatever the vaccine's going to do in a minimal, like the minimal level to be able to protect like other people from my germs. Great. But I'm number one reason why I'm doing it is because no one is going to tell me you're not allowed to do this or go here or do this because of a vaccination. And I would be pissed. I would
Well,
be pissed.
that's also why people are anti this vaccine,
I
right?
know.
Because
But then
people
what's the
are
lesser of two evils, guys?
either get vaccinated or get your quote unquote
Fight.
freedoms
And then at the end of the day, it's
reduced.
right. It's like, what are you fighting for? Like, if you're going to
My
fight,
body, my choice. Duh.
but I'm pro that. I'm pro that. But it's not
Okay,
like
but like this is picking and choosing my body and my choice. You know this, right? Like their whole argument.
I know. But and you want to know what's really funny? I was talking to we're super sidetracking. We're gonna funnel back to this, but it's funny because I
Yeah.
was having a whole conversation with my mom about the whole vaccine situation, and I was telling her how like me with like my belief in like greater power and things like that, like the we've had this talk too, and we talked about the vaccine. Like everything happens for a reason. Humanity's called this. It's like time for this to happen, and like talking about how I was like, I to a certain extent, when you use a vaccine, yes, it's great that it's saving lives, but I mean, if you look at the data now, a lot of people are also dying from the J&J vaccine. But um,
I don't
like
know the stats, so I can't comment.
the like in my head, I was like, well, by us intervening and being what we do as humans, like we're trying to play God. And my mom, kudos to my mother for this, was like, well, you have an IUD. How are you not trying to play God? And I was like, oh
Boom.
shit.
Boom.
I was like, you are so right now. I was like, okay, well then this becomes a greater question of like, I was like, you were right. Like I totally am doing that. Like, and thank God for that. Like I'm grateful for that. But I was like, but okay, I was like, let's push this a little bit further. That was my choice, right? Like that's the my body, my choice situation. But pushing the
Okay.
vaccine on people and telling them they have to have it or their freedoms are going to be removed, that's not cool.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
You know what I mean?
because no one is saying you can't go into here unless you have an IUD.
Yet.
Like uh,
Correct. Honestly, though, it should be the reverse of that, which is like you're not allowed to have a
right,
child. You need an IUD. That's what we should be using this for.
which is not my body, my choice.
Right. But I
Um,
mean, it's so I
but I think
still I'm
with
still in
with
all realms of it.
well, I think with this, it's um, I don't know how to frame this thought, but I was thinking about like just capitalism again and how this vaccine is making us, I guess making is the right word too, go back into society
And
as a country, right? Like for example, like going to that game last night, like
yeah.
people weren't vaccinated and there are vaccinated seats, like required vaccinated seats or whatever. Um,
And I'm
they
sure they probably put you guys like vaccinated people, not vaccinated people, vaccinated people, not
well, it
so
was
like
just I
you
think a section of the
got it.
stadium, like section 218 is a vaccinated section. Like
Mm.
whoever isn't vaccinated, like you can't buy a ticket here, and if you accidentally buy a ticket here,
Was it
you
like a
need a
better
card.
view? Was there any like was it because what's the point of putting the vaccinated people with the vaccinated people?
Because if you are vaccinated next to a vaccinated person indoors, you are very less likely to contract COVID. Like within the space. Obviously, people
So
were still wearing masks. Yeah, go ahead.
so would the argument stand that putting the vaccinated people with the not vaccinated people wouldn't that be well? See, I guess in that
Well,
situation you'd be more
also,
likely
if
to
you,
keep the non-vaccinated people safe, right? They'd be less likely to get it, but you could still get
right,
it from them. So then it's
right.
kind of like a
Because if you are vaccinated, you can obviously still go to the non-vaccinated sections if you have someone that you're going with that's not vaccinated.
all of this is just so much. Who would have thought like 2 years ago we would have been having like legit logistical conversations about this insanity? I can't.
Well, look, I think with the vaccine being, look, I will say that it is working though in New Jersey. Did you see
Is it
the
though?
cases? Yeah, the cases are dropping
Is
per
it?
day.
Are you 100% sure that it's connected to the vaccine?
I
Like,
what
do
else
they
would it be?
the change in weather and people being exposed to sunlight and immunities? Your immunity defenses raise this time of year.
So then, but what about last summer when it was super nice out and it spiked up?
I don't know. Like,
So we're
could
gonna.
it be that we people have been out and have been exposed to it more, so we're not sick, or
I'm
more people have
saying,
it?
I
It's just
think there's a correlation. I think there's a correlation of people getting vaccinated.
I
We're
just
getting into a heated
bothers
conversation now.
it
Well, I think
bothers
there's
me
gonna be a
because there's
correlation.
I
What?
think that there could be a relation, but I feel like
Yeah.
I just hate that we're like trying to be like I don't know.
Look, I think people should get their vaccine. That's
I
my
think
stance.
people should get it too. I'm saying this and being an asshole when I have it,
You're not being an asshole. You're just stating your opinion.
but it's just like it. I don't know. I'm not like a let's glorify this as the reason. There are
Oh well,
so
look,
many
I
factors that
I
come into
agree. I
play.
agree. Just get your vaccine so you can do good on your society and be a good person. I don't
Right.
need an extra incentive to go get a free beer or a
Correct.
free donut, even though a free donut is nice, but I haven't gotten a free donut. It's just like that's cute, I guess. But
And I'm
like
not
I
totally
don't
and I'm
I
totally
don't
not
need
saying
it.
it to be like a I don't know. I don't think that we should rely on things the way that we rely on them. So I want to you know
But
me. I poke holes in everything.
okay, go ahead.
So
You
I'm
go first.
poking holes. I'm done.
Okay. Look. I just think with the whole incentive thing, it's literally just to promote within those populations that were they're not necessarily anti-vaxxers, but got into a mindset that either uh, they could be very QAnon status, where everything is fake and so and so is their savior and all this stuff, to just the very not secure in getting the vaccine, kind
Yeah.
of, but they're on the fence. But also now there's an incentive, so maybe
Yeah.
it's
Just like to
because they have
push
an
them
incentive
over.
now, like that's gonna push them over the
Yeah, I get
over the
it. And
edge.
that's a sad thing because, like you said, like
I mean, our society isn't fair. Let's just put it at
that's
that.
what it
Like
is.
for the people that are doing good and like being vigilant and just like being a good person within, their neighbor, whatever. We don't need those incentives, like you said.
I
And
know,
like
but
seeing that other people
unfortunately,
need
those
incentives,
bubbles.
like it's like all right, it's like high school again, where it's like all right, I don't need the extra credit, but I would like extra credit if you are giving it to your
Like if
other
you're giving it to other
classes.
people, right? Like let's just level out the playing
But
field.
that's also very American.
I
I will
mean,
say I
okay,
don't have
well,
see for me I don't have a problem because again I don't want to put culture into this, but like being Asian I'm like yeah, if people need an extra push fine, like I'll just do my part, they can get whatever they need. I mean it's then again my American side is clashing where it's just like this where I'm like but I wanted to, but then again it's like
it's
but
not
you're also
even a
very
matter of
communal.
I don't want anything. I just want other people to do better.
I mean that's you're just asking
That's
way
my
too much
thing.
now.
That's literally my
you're,
thing.
you're just asking way too
I
much of
don't want
society.
anything. Don't give me anything I don't
I don't
deserve,
want
but
anything
like
either, but like that
do
you're just
better. Come on.
America do better.
Oh god. Well,
um
did you have fun at the game at least?
No, I did. So it was very nice. I did going back to going back into society, right? Um, so we got to the we got into the stadium, very packed. People had their masks on, until they all sat down and people were eating. That was great. People were like, at least within the section I saw, like if people were eating, they had their masks off and like out were eating and then
Right,
put it back
right.
on. So great, perfect. I had my mask on the whole time. Like so, did my dad and my sister is fine. The atmosphere was crazy. Like it
Yeah,
felt
I imagine.
normal to an extent where I was like, holy shit, like I'm back and like in a societal setting. But also a part of me was like, you gotta like go home and like take a shower and like rip off your clothes and like I was like hand sanitizing, like sanitize like my key from like when I got it back from like the parking garage. Like, so it's like I'm still very neurotic in the fact that I know
Mm,
COVID is still a thing.
right, right.
Um so it was both very exciting because I did miss the city, but also very there's very much anxiety correlated with it too for being in the city for the first time and like being in a crowd of thousands of people. Um, because you don't know where these people came from. Not saying that everyone's like, not being vigilant, but people aren't within that stadium. So it's
Yeah.
like, and yes, we did have to, if you were not vaccinated, I will say Barclays and just the NBA in general has been really good at this. You had to have a negative COVID test, at least one
Oh.
negative COVID test within the last couple days. I can't remember the time frame. And if you don't have one, then you can't come in to stadium. So at least there's that too. There's an added. It's not like okay, you're not vaccinated. Here's a couple of sections, and we're not going to test you. So you had to present at least a negative test. So at least there's a little bit of not leeway, a little bit of like ease in
Yeah.
my
To know that you're at least not going into you're not choosing to go into an environment that
had potential COVID,
right, like it's
but
less
like there's also
dangerous.
always a potential, you know. Um, So I mean, I had fun. They won last night, so that was an added. And
I have no idea what's going on in anything related to sports at all.
I
So
love the NBA, the WNBA. For anyone that's watching or not watching, I'm sorry. I'm wearing a New York Liberty jersey today because they have a game today. I'm gonna watch it on TV. I
yay
look. I love
sports.
basketball. I love basketball. You know this.
Yeah, we know. Maria is the reason why I started playing basketball. Um, like
Very casually, not like
I was saying,
Brittany
like
joined
no,
it.
I said I was realized the way I said that I was like that's not right.
Very casually, like not
That didn't
that
come out right.
she joined like the
Um,
team or something.
yeah, no. Our team was the kids that lived on our block. Okay, so yeah, so I was also like major first time out in public. This was like
Hmm.
all an accident, but I'm very happy that I did it because I needed it. Um, I had like 2 days ago. So I'm a part of this team called the Bridge Dance Project, which is all about like bridging the gap between dance science and medicine and dance training and performance. And I lead the team of like professionals in New Jersey. So I got a message from like a dance competition being like, "Hey, can you guys come?" So I went like I ended up being in Long Branch, mind
Okay.
you, summer before Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Um and it was at like the Ocean Resort and Spa, that
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
hotel. So not thinking anything of it. As I had clients in the morning, and then as I'm driving down there, I'm like, oh, wait a second. Like I'm realizing where I'm going,
Where are you going?
what time of the day it is, like what's going on. And I had like a side note, like this really wonderful moment where I really needed to get something from CVS and like was could not find one, was like, oh, the first it's so far away. Literally drove up and it was across the street. So I was like, this is thank you. Um, but it was real weird. It was real weird.
Yeah.
Uh, People were in like the being in a competition setting because that's weird enough. That's like a tiny little room filled with people. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
Even if they do work with like a different scheduling, that was weird. But
Mhm.
afterwards, it was over, and I was like, you know what? Like I'm here. I'm never gonna get to go to the beach this summer because of my
Yeah.
schedule. I was like,
Yeah.
let me just like go sit and read my book.
Okay.
It I didn't know. First of all, I walked out of the building with my mask on. Like, and I'm so used to there's people around me, like, I have to keep my mask on. I didn't
Right.
even think about it. And I'm like walking like down the boardwalk about to go on the beach, and I was like, oh, I guess I can. No one's by me. Like, I can take this off. No one anywhere except like at the bar area. I
Yeah.
saw nobody in masks. People were
Mhm.
like trying to distance, I guess, but it was weird. It was nice. And it was once I got all like past, I had to get like past my little bump of like social anxiety, COVID anxiety, like all of
Yeah. All of that. Yeah.
everything all over again. But then being in it, I was like, this feels so nice. Like to be able, mind
To
you, like
like.
if it
Yeah.
was a setting where like there was a bunch of people around us and it was super crowded, like I don't know how like I'm gonna survive that with both of those anxieties. But
Yeah. Yeah.
because it was like well spaced and I knew it was outside and I didn't have to worry and it was like people I didn't know, but it was fine. Um, it just felt really nice to be able to do that again.
Yeah. It's super nice. I mean, even me going to the basketball game, even though I had my mask on, it was super nice to like
Right.
actually do something that I enjoyed. Again.
Yeah.
Um. But I will ask you.
So,
So you're getting married. Are you gonna require masks?
no,
Ah. Okay. All right.
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, we're also talking like another 4 or 5 months from now. Our
Okay.
venue is also like an indoor outdoor space, so all of
I was
like,
just there for another wedding.
were you?
Mhm. Very
Did you
nice.
see like the doors and everything, the way the doors open?
Very nice. It was very cold though, so they unfortunately had the doors closed. It was like the
So,
one random day that in April that was so cold. I felt so bad.
yeah.
But no, we had a good time. I That venue is very nice.
So we're gonna try to keep everything open.
Well,
Um,
it should
I'm not
be. It
gonna
shouldn't be.
require anything. Like my bottom line is, I'm not wearing one. Uh,
Okay.
Anybody who wants to wear one, go for it if you feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
But no, I'm not.
Okay.
If it was last year, then I probably would have said like, yeah, we're all gonna wear them.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not requiring them, and the venue is not requiring them. And thankfully, as of May, we
Yeah.
can have like our entire like guest list attend because we're having this
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, because of
And
the
then a side
restrictions.
note about like all of this, guys. Like I can't tell you the stronger that my belief gets in like divine intervention and like the universe being smarter than me, the more it works in my favor.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
when Dan and I were originally
Okay.
going to get married, right? If
Yeah.
we would have done what I hate saying this, but the normal length of time for an engagement is, we would have been married in like the end of 2019 or some point of 2020.
So you don't have to push it out anyway, right?
And that would have been a
Yeah.
nightmare. But I told Dan, like, we need to have a long engagement. Like, I felt it. Like, we're going to have a long engagement. This is what, and because of the way that that timed out, it was like it was meant to be. You know what I mean? Like it was just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird thing. So yeah, I won't require. I mean, unless things change. I mean, knock on fucking wood that we don't go backwards because none
Yeah.
of us are going to survive that. But
Mhm.
I'm not requiring it.
Okay. I
So,
was
but
wondering
yeah,
just cuz, yeah.
so that was, and then on top of that, right? Just starting to go back. This is, I had gone out to like eat outside with Sam,
Mhm.
and like that, I was telling her how weird it was to be around people because that was like the first time I'd gone and dined out and like done like happy hour with like people being around at other tables.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I got down to this venue, and within, I was there for like a couple of hours yesterday. I saw like 12 people that I knew,
It's
like
funny.
from like
It's funny.
random like walks of life. And then I was like randomly talking to this group of people that were on the beach, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like we're from Carteret," and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I grew up like it was just
Yeah.
it was so weird, and
I
all the people
mean,
that I saw were from like all random different things. But I was like, this,
oops. Yeah.
and I'm usually the person who's like, oh my god, I know that person, I don't want to talk to them. But I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
have legs, like you have a
You
whole
have like
body, like this feels, it was
yeah, cuz it's different.
weird.
It's but going back to being a social person again.
Yeah, and
Social
I think
being.
that going back to what we were talking about at like the beginning of our conversation, I think that being able to, first of all, for me, being in like a natural setting and being someplace like especially with water, it's all good stuff for me. So like I feel like that was great. But then being around the energy, like the good vibe, like everybody around like was so happy. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah,
like,
so was the game last night.
right,
Everyone
like
just
so
so
good
appreciative,
vibes
I feel like.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Even the
I
players, I was watching interviews this morning, just out of whim, and they were like, yeah, I think one of the players was like, it threw me off seeing the fans back
oh my god, this
because
guy was
like
so weird. Like performing, like dealing with like oh
yeah, he
god.
was like, it threw me off the first half. That's why he wasn't shooting well because he was like, yeah, it like threw me off because like this is the first game that people are back.
Yeah.
Like they've had a couple thousand really spread out throughout the whole stadium, but now it's like thousands of people, and we were loud. It was
I
so
can, yeah.
loud, and like yeah, they were very shocked, I think, but very appreciative too. They're like, yeah, this is what we've been missing. Obviously, like
Yeah.
being a professional player, you're playing for the fans,
Yeah.
and like for them not having a stadium filled with fans that they're generally used to, like I'm sure um seeing them back again, they're like, oh yeah, great, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
And like you can feed off once you get like
so
better
once they got
into that
going,
energy again.
literally the
Yeah.
second half, once they got going, they're acclimated to the space again. They're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, they took over.
The dance world is like the kids that were dancing yesterday is the same thing. Like you really do, you feed off, like you don't, you dance or you, any type of performance setting, you do it a little bit for you, but a lot of
But a
it
lot of it
is
for the people that are watching you.
right,
Yeah.
like to have that interaction. That's what's like really cool about doing anything related to performance, is that it's not about you.
Right. Yeah. Not fully,
But
at
yeah,
least.
it definitely, I when I was driving home yesterday, I was so, I had like all these like good vibes, but like I was so content in a way that I feel
You
like I
can feel it.
hadn't
Yeah.
felt in a really long time,
It's a
and like
weird
a
feeling. Yeah.
good like positive content.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that being able to like, that was what has got me to like be like, I'm gonna feel good this morning. I'm gonna do all the stuff that I want to do.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm. No,
and I
it's a weird
it's
feeling. It's a good feeling though. It's a feeling that I haven't felt since pre-COVID.
right.
Just seeing people and just like seeing, though of course the anxiety's still there, but like just seeing people just like have a general sense of contentment for the same purpose that you are feeling.
Yeah.
That whole like crowd mentality, a good crowd mentality at least. So no, it
But
was
I will
nice.
say
I
it was
get
one thing
it.
that was very interesting to me. And I didn't think about, you know how like I even got up when I was out. when I went out with Sam on Friday, I had gone up to the table to go to the bathroom and I forgot we were outside, but I forgot my mask and like halfway in, like about to walk into the building, I was like, oh fuck, let me go back and get it.
Yeah.
That level of like that little like feeler that like tells you like, oh my god, your mask. Oh my god, like the little like COVID reminder that goes off while I was like walking back to my car. That I was like, there was like a bunch of like the Long Branch cops. They're like always on like little golf carts, like they're whatever.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
was thinking to myself, like, they're not wearing masks. Like, how are how are they policing this mask situation right now? Like,
You probably aren't. But
right.
what is it? You preach what you teach, whatever the hell is that?
But it's
Whatever.
like and then even inside, like when I had to walk through the resort, like I obviously had my mask on the whole time I was in there. And there were people that were inside that were like not in them. And I was like, and it was what was interesting too was like as parents and like there was a wedding also going on at the resort too. Like as people were coming in to like the ballroom lobby where they had the event, people were asking like, do I have to wear like do I need to put a mask on? And in my mind, I was like, duh, like you know what I mean? And I was like, what? What? Like
Yeah.
I,
Well.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be weird when we get back to that, like where I,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
my, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. If you have to ask the question, should I have a mask on or not? The answer is yes.
Until
Until
the foreseeable
until
future.
it's not right. Until
Yeah.
it's not.
Look, granted, I am vaccinated and I will be wearing a mask until I like die now. Um, probably just for
Same.
the safety of
Yeah.
myself.
I've just been
Um,
encouraging I've just been encouraging. I mean, we are very, very lucky that this is all happening at the same time. Like people are getting mass vaccinated and the weather is nice. I've just been encouraging people to be outside as much as possible so that they can take their masks off and be far away from one another.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
So
I
like if you
mean,
don't
the
want to wear
sun
one,
helps. Yeah,
yeah, if you don't want to wear one, great. It's nice out. Go be outside.
or just like sit in your backyard if you can't really go anywhere.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I'll be wearing my mask honestly until I die. Which is fine. I don't really mind because it is a part
Yeah.
of Asian culture anyway. So I've been doing it
Hmm.
before COVID,
That's very true.
so it
What
wasn't
was
really a
I?
bother to me anyway.
I was talking about something with somebody, and they were like saying something about having to wear a mask when they were doing that. I can't remember now. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, it's like a weird. I
Weird
don't
thing.
know. It's just the
Kate
future
took
is gonna
her
be so interesting.
Kate took her SATs. Can you
Oh
imagine doing
boy.
the SATs with your mask on? Not that.
Mm.
Then again, I went through a whole basketball game with my mask on. That was like at least
I
3 or 4 hours or more
a
actually.
lot of AP testing has happened in the past 2 weeks, so I've had a lot of students
Hmm.
who've been going through it, and and you can opt to take it like virtually at home now.
Yes, the AP exam, not the
I
SATs. Yeah,
don't. I feel for these kids. I really
it's
feel
not
like
ideal. No, it's not the most ideal thing to go through high
everything
school like
that's
that
going
or
on,
elementary
like,
or college.
and I just,
I mean, it's not good for them
like the
in their
social
developmental
stuff,
stage. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
they've been, and that's the thing is like we're not gonna see the
The
damage
effects
of this for like another 10 or 15 years until they're like
until they're in the
well
working force.
into
I feel like
right until they're well into like adulting.
once they get to their work environments, they'll probably see the stark difference between a Gen Z that's gone through the COVID pandemic schooling versus the
Just
millennials
life. It's not even
and just
that.
like well, I think it granted obviously every generation is being affected, but the kids that are in school right now, I think it's a different type of effect, obviously.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
they're
interesting
yeah.
too if you think about different things that happen to different generations, right? Like we
Yeah.
were the 9/11 generation, right? That was like
That
there were
was like the
kids
thing. Yeah, yeah.
when stuff
That was the
happened. So
thing.
like we went through like the major safety, like the security safety, national
The
security safety
TSA,
stuff,
like the whole
and like
airport
dealing with that in school.
security,
And I feel like now,
and just like the discrimination against people because of
right?
it.
And like if you think about like our the generations before, like it was like the nuclear bombing and like dealing with all of that and major
Just the
world wars.
world wars.
Um, yeah, it's like every generation gets war. Yay.
Yeah.
And then if you think about, I mean, now there's gonna like now it's the COVID generation, but if we go back like 10 years, it was when the mass school shootings like really started 10, 15, or well, at least when they were on the
There's
media.
unfortunately
Not
yeah
to say
still
when they
going.
started, they were always happening, but like when they were mass media, it's just like all every generation has the trauma that they have to deal with, and then they
You're
grow up
kind of
through it,
defined.
right? That
Yeah.
defines them. And
Yeah.
I this one's gonna be, because if you think about all of the other like the national terrorist things that happen, right, or any form of terrorism or acts of like hatred against a community, always brought our communities stronger and closer together.
I have a
But
critique on
now
that.
this is, huh?
I have a critique on that, but you keep going.
Okay, within reason, right? Like people weren't isolated from one another, right? If
No,
they were, if
I
that
think
was
I'm thinking
happening
about
with
a whole
people,
different thing. I'm thinking
okay,
about a whole different thing, but keep going with your
but
thought.
like this situation has literally forced communities to be separate, and like has forced isolation on this already isolate, like already because of technology isolated communities. So
And by
now I feel like,
communities, do you mean like generations or just communities within?
no, I mean like if we just look at like schools or like
Oh,
towns or
okay.
like little
Boroughs and
existing
whatnot.
places where people have
Okay, just like
interpersonal relationships.
geographically a community.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think it happens on like a bigger level too, right?
Well,
Like
now with
when
internet,
9/11
yeah,
happened, our entire country was like, oh my gosh, like coming
yeah.
together. Well, except for when we harassed anybody who was Muslim. Um, so you know what or like when the
Continue
shootings,
to,
very true. When
unfortunately.
the shootings happened, right? It was like we have to come together as a nation to fight against gun violence, even though
Has
I'm gonna not
anything?
continue talking about that. And
I'm
but
gonna
like
stop
with
too.
the but with the with this type of situation, right? It wasn't like a we have the enemy that we're fighting against is a enemy that we can't see, and because we can get it from one another, it's like we turned into each other's enemies. And
It's literally the apocalypse.
so it was like these kids are literally, it's like there's no one for them to turn, except maybe hopefully within their family like unit, there was no one for them to go to, because
Yeah.
everybody was the enemy because the virus was.
Hmm.
So I'm very curious to see what, I'm very scared. I am very hopeful and very scared at the same time for what it's going to look like in 10 years from now. I feel like every bad thing brings upon the opportunity for something good to happen.
I'm
So like,
pretty optimistic,
but
honestly.
you know, when an atom splits, right? Like
Hmm.
like when there's a split, there's good that comes out and there's bad that comes out. So I feel like this is what.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty optimistic though. I think the younger generations have a lot of more resources than we do because of the internet and just
Right.
like um just mental health awareness being so like being pro mental health now. Like I think they
They're
have
also
better.
highly enabled, so that's going to be the fun part.
Yeah.
It's like it's really, I've been reading a lot about like the book that I just finished is called The Art of Learning, and it talks a lot about how like we're constantly learning, but we have to choose to do. You don't learn something until you apply it, right? Like
Correct.
knowledge is power when applied. And
Which is why I had a critique when you were saying that when things happen anti just this or just discriminatory that like we come together
oh
and
yeah, oh
then
no no, I see
and
both
then
sides of that.
yeah, and then I mean if you're saying knowledge is the application of it or like whatever, I mean I don't
Correct.
see the application of it.
That is correct.
That was my
Which
one
is what
critique
the
going
issue,
back.
and this connects to what I'm talking about, right? Like, and the danger of what we say about the hope for the generation that is coming up now has endless amounts of resources to be able to take on information,
Hmm.
but they're not actually
Yeah.
turning it into knowledge because I'm sorry, guys, they're lazy as fuck because everything's done for them because of the resources they have available to them. So it's like the they have a lot of it, but until they choose to actually act on it, they're
Then it's
not.
like it's nothing. It's whatever.
What's the point of having all of those
No, I
resources?
agree. I
So
agree.
it's,
Yeah.
and that's what I try to, I do the best that I can whenever I interact with anybody younger than me at this point, to continue to inspire a reason to act on it, a reason to take action, something to, because just teaching people things doesn't do anything unless they feel some type of way, like unless they feel emotionally, like
Hmm.
emotionally
Affected by it.
driven to take action, right?
Yeah.
um so that's and I think that they want a lot more things back that they can't have, right? Like with all like the social stuff that we were just talking about. So I feel like that's going to push people to want to, take action to utilize their resources. But I don't feel this will be a conversation for another day. I don't feel like enough of that's happening in the places where they're spending an ample amount of their time, like in their education systems, to inspire that to happen, which is why, like you said, we're not going to see those big differences until they literally get out and are like 5 or 10 years into like the adult community,
Yeah.
because that's when they're going
It's a
to
whole
have
different
to
sphere.
actually do all of that.
Yeah, it's one thing to go through the education system and just like get good grades or like not get good grades and then go into the quote unquote real world. Very
Yeah.
cliche to say the real world, but like and then interact within a setting that doesn't necessarily give you that reward system that you're looking for.
I was just having a conversation with, so it's funny to be older and be taken, okay, long, not to like put this in a lot of like convoluted words. I was reading on the beach yesterday and this little baby teeny bopper decided that he was going to come up to me and talk to me, right? So um so I always like, it's, I very much, my life goal is to constantly be taken for someone who's much younger than I am. So I'm very happy about that, because it makes me scared to like lose my physical like abilities. We talked about my fear of like not
Yeah.
having the ability to like be with my
Yep.
body.
Yep. Yep.
So he like starts talking. He's asking me about like what I'm reading, like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Ends
Whatever.
up
You can read. Yeah.
having a conversation that wasn't that bad, and the book that I'm reading now is about social media and like the come up of social media. Like that was in the like 96. So I'm like telling him about like, I'm like, this is what I'm reading. And he goes, oh yeah, like it was really like kind of cool to like grow up with social media and stuff like that. And um so I don't remember what happened where I was like, well, I was like, I kind of like, I grew up and social media was happening, and then we had to go, like, I remember having to go kind of backwards in learning to type. Like these kids are growing up already knowing how to type.
Literally.
Um and I like said something. He was like, "Oh, why? How old are you?" And I was like, yeah." So I was like, "I'm
Kid.
28." And he was like, "Oh," he's like, "You don't look that old." And I was like, "How old are you?" And he was like, "Well, 23." And I was like, "Oh,
All right.
okay."
Cool.
But anyway, so I'm like asking him like, "Oh, you just got done with school?" Like he has a finance degree, and he was telling me very interesting, like, gonna be great, right? And what he wants to do. And like talking more about like life and what he wants to do with his life. And he's like, I'm really afraid of what I want to do. And I was like, well, why is that? And he was like, well, because I have a lot of like ambition to want to do all of these things, but like, what if I can't do it?
Oh, that's a common thing. I think. Younger
I was
generations.
there, right? When I was gonna
Yeah.
start, BCA, when Dan and I both were gonna start our new business, like we were both like, well, that's like, if you didn't have that, you don't want it bad enough. Like if you're not worried about what happens if you don't do it well or if it doesn't work out, you don't want it bad enough, and you shouldn't be doing it to begin with.
The fear,
But
yeah. If you are fearful of something upcoming, then you're doing it right.
right, and he was like, well, what if I can't do it? And I was like, what if you can't?
Then you go on to another thing.
But
Yeah, it's there's a
he was like, well, then I failed, and I was like, okay,
uh yeah, failing is the hindrance of many people's ambition
but
and
you
drive to
can't,
do
and that's
something.
why
I
I
get
say
it.
this as somebody who literally still struggles with it every single day, like because that's
Yeah,
how our
me too,
brains
yeah.
work. Our brains don't want that.
Yeah.
Fight or flight is literally a thing. But I was like, so what if you don't? I was like, look, I was like, you might fail at that, but I was like, just from the conversation I had with this kid for like 5 minutes, he's got it, like he gets it. So I was like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna figure it out. You'll figure it out. I was like, as long as you believe that you'll figure it out, who cares if you fail? You'll learn something and you'll figure out something else.
But again, a lot of people just stop there. Which is unfortunate because like you can't coach someone to keep going when they can't even do it themselves.
But
Like
the
you can
bottom
say so many things to them and all of a sudden it's just up to them, right?
this is the thing that I've
That's also
found
early 20s
from myself,
mentality.
right? From myself being in a teaching role, being in like a wanting to be a student role,
Yeah,
right?
just being even me, was just being a mentor to people like younger than me. I'm like just yeah, just or just like being an older sibling. Yeah, just life in
It
general.
all
Like you
comes back to that at like you you it's the person, and I say this all the time with what I do with like my empowered to positive like journey, like
hmm
it's not just one day that you're gonna wake up and be like, yay, my brain's not gonna like be my worst enemy. Like your brain is gonna be your enemy for the rest of your life.
yeah.
And the sooner that you start to learn how to like control it well,
Mhm.
so that you can have that fear and be afraid of that and do it anyway. Because let me tell you, and I said this to this kid yesterday. I was like, look, I was afraid to drive down here. Like when I have to go places, being places by myself in new settings is one of my like most uncomfortable things. And like
Mhm.
being around people that I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to drive down to this event today. I wasn't gonna walk out on the beach by myself. I wasn't gonna. I was like you just okay. I'm scared. Do it anyway. Okay, I'm scared. Do it anyway. So like I think that and that's I think that that was the same thing that I had to get over with the vaccine. Honestly, because I was so worried about the consequences and the repercussions and getting sick because that's something that I have to worry about with like my body about getting sick and dealing with those things. I was like, you know what, Brittany, just do it. Like you have to look at the benefit and the bigger picture in the long run and just be like, well, if I don't get there, at least I'll get somewhere closer to there,
Mhm. Yeah.
closer than where I am right now.
Agreed.
That was a big segue. I don't remember why I brought it up.
Oh, I don't remember, but we got back to the vaccine, so that seems like an appropriate way to end.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we talked about a bunch of stuff today, and we're going to have a bunch more guests coming up in the future as well. As you guys continue to prep yourselves and prepare yourselves, or maybe continue to go out and be around people again, just know that all the weirdness that you're feeling, everybody else is feeling too.
Yeah.
Continue to do what works for you, and I think that's what our. I feel like we're so caught up worrying about, the actual COVID. I think we really need to start switching gears and talking about, well, now that we're back in this space and all like helping people deal with the mental aspects of the social anxiety and because it's real. It's real. Like
Yeah, to say
we
the
need
least.
we need more of that. So if you're feeling that, like
Mhm.
I'm sure that we can start gathering some like really great resources. I'm sure there are things out there if you know of any really great resources for people to be able to manage all of that and start moving forward out
Mhm.
of this COVID shit show, that would be great.
To say the least. Yeah. Yeah.
And we will still be here no matter what.
Mhm. All right. We good?
Yep, I'm tired.
All right. Okay, bye.
All right, guys, thanks for listening to us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, bye.